Hey guys, the Animal King here, and welcome to the Stop the Violence Marathon, where we look at 3 songs in hip-hop where a group of rappers decided to come together to say stop the violence and it's time for us to unite together. But more than just that, they were made as a response to people who spread misinformation about how rap music was to blame for gang violence. Because those TV hosts and white politicians cared more about demonizing black culture than actually improving the lives of those who listen to the music, which still happens today. Because gang violence originally started as a trap poor black people fall into because of a neglectful government run by white supremacists who don't care for black people or poor people. And if you're both, you're fucked. The white supremacists in power used their positions in power to keep poor black people from rising from poverty that they put them in the first place, and they actually like gang violence more than any gang, because it ends up doing the politicians' jobs for them to keep black people from uniting together with other demographics to help fight against a system that supports rich white people mainly. And while the rappers understand that people going into gangs so that they can be able to pay rent and feed their family, which was a symptom of a neglectful and greedy government, they didn't use that as an excuse for people to be violent, and they generally wanted to uplift the black community and show them their ills in a relatable way. And going in chronological order, and apparently also in skill level order, we are going to start with Self-Destruction by Boogie Down Production, and it's important to highlight some specific moments that inspired the song. In a Boogie Down Productions and Public Enemy concert, the event turned into a riot after a bunch of thieves decided they needed to ruin the fun for everyone else, which led it into a young fan's death. Also, KRS-One lost his producer Shock LaRock to street violence when they were in the middle of trying to squash the beef, so it's very appropriate for him to start off the song.
Well, today's topic, self-destruction, it really ain't the rap audience is bugging. It's one of two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another.
Then Stetsasonics MC Delight calls out the white people who blame rap for gang violence, just to demonize black culture, which has been a part of a Eurocentric worldview.
Pop, when it's shot, who's to blame? Headlines, front page, and rap's the name. MC Delight here to state the bottom line. The black on black crime was way before time.
It's a short but sweet verse that says, you guys act like gang violence started when rap was invented, and that really ain't the case. But then there is Kool Moe Dee, who has the best verse in the whole song, and he just has an amazing voice.
Back in the 60s, our brothers and sisters were hanged. How could you gang bang? I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man, cause that's self-destruction, gang for self-destruction.
And I like how each ending verse flows into the hook that says black on black violence does a racist institution's job for them, so you will end up destroying yourselves and the community in the long run. Then we get MC Lyte, the queen of New York herself, just keeping it straight with the listeners.
Leave the guns and the crack and the knives alone.
I love how she rolls her eyes to accentuate how tired she is of seeing people feeling the need to be thugs just to seem cool.
And there's only one disco, now close one more, you ain't guarding the door. So what you got a gun for? Do you rob the rich and give to the poor?
Then Daddy O and Wise, wow, what a name that stands out, from Stetsasonic come in to say that the rewards of crime are not worth the consequences.
Cause you could do crime and get paid today, and tomorrow you're behind bars in the worst way. Far from your family, cause you're locked away. Now tell me, do you really think crime pays?
Then D Nice comes in to tell people that the only way to end the violence and oppression is with unity.
It's time to stand together in a unity, cause if not, then we're soon to be self-destroyed, unemployed. The rap race will be lost without a trace.
He calls out how lies when the media are trying to flip the real idea of what rap is, to make those not familiar with the condition that these rappers go through to demonize it and say it needs to fall. And he's telling these guys to not fall for it.
To teach the each is what rap intended, what society wants to invade, so do not walk this path that they laid.
Then we get a verse from Miss Melody, and from what I could find, this was her first verse in the mainstream media. And she states that the white supremacists in power know exactly what they are doing by blaming black music for the problems that was set in there by the system.
The enemy knows, they're no fools because everyone knows the hip-hop rules.
Maybe back then people didn't want to realize it, but especially nowadays, there is no denying that hip-hop rules the mainstream media. And the people in power do not like that factual statement. Because while art is open to different interpretations, rap is all about being legit to who you are. And since rap was born in poor black communities and made by an oppressive system, and then the music came around to describing how the government fucked over black people and say, what? We don't want white people to hear that because if they were to unite, then we'll be in big trouble. Demonize it. It's devil music. It's causing violence.
This is all about no doubt just how violence. But first, let's have a moment of silence.
That wasn't silent, and I do not want to hear that sound sped up again, but, you know, if you're gonna have a moment of silence for a victim of gang violence, and then start beatboxing, then you might get kicked out of the funeral. I mean, he basically said, hey, I know we're supposed to be serious about ending violence, but let me just beatbox for a second. But to be fair, the rest of Dougie Fresh's verse is good. This calls out the people in power who changed the world history and public education to keep people complacent and not acknowledge how poorly black people and their culture have been treated by a Eurocentric world government.
And I hate it when someone dies and get all hurt up for a silly gold chain. Word up. It doesn't make you a big man, and Jordan ain't going dish your brother man, and you don't know that's part of the plan. Why? 'Cause rap music is in full demand.
This feels like a combination of D-Nice, MC Lyte, and Miss Melody's verse, all put into one beautiful package. And then there's Just Dice, who uses his past to relate to the listener.
I was known as the gangster, but believe me, that is no fun. The time is now to unite everyone. You don't have to be soft to be for peace.
And then we have the man, Heavy D.
Hey yo, here's the situation. Idiocy, nonsense, violence, not a good policy. Therefore, we must ignore, fight and fussing. Heavens at the door, so there'll be no bum rushing.
So bum rushing was a slang in the 80s for when people forced their way into a crowd, pushing through them, and, pushing through their bums to get through. And it can be used to be violent sometimes. And bum rushing was kind of what inspired the song, like I said earlier. And here Heavy is saying that he will personally make sure that no one at his show will get hurt. And he is someone that people should really not mess with.
I heard a brother shot another, it broke my heart. I don't understand the difficulty, people. Love your brother, treat him as an equal.
While Kool Moe Dee has arguably the best verse in the song, this one definitely has the most heart.
They call us animals, I don't agree with them. I'll prove it wrong, but right is what you're proving them.
And here he says that all the violence just helps white supremacists convince an uneducated group of white people that black people are the real issue. And the next verse is from Futa Kwan, who I have never heard of before, and I don't really know how to pronounce this guy's name, but he does have a nice verse that goes into, rapes in prison.
Hey, that makes them a victim. Pick them, plug new jack in jail, because the vets never duck. There's no one around, cause in jail, you're a number.
Jesus. And then we get a hook, Public Enemy, and then the hook again, which was pretty short, and I kind of felt like it was jammed in there in the last second, but it's still nice.
Yes, we urge to merge, we live for the love of our people, the hope they get along.
Yeah, so get a song.
We? I mean, really, Flavor Flav? Because this is mostly Chuck D.
You know our job to build and collect ourselves with intellect, to evolve to self-respect, cause we got to keep ourselves in check.
These goddamn video cards. But despite any nitpicks, the overall 6-minute song that never drags and has good social commentary and stays on topic gets a 5 out of 5, and it fits in with the group of classic hip-hop tracks.